Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our meeting. I'm going to wait just another minute since I'm still hearing the dings of people joining our Zoom call. All right, everyone, let's get started. Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar and public comment workshop. I'm Kelly Birdwell, East Bay Community Energy's Senior Manager of Account Services. Thank you for joining. I'll begin with an introduction to East Bay Community Energy and a background to the public process. Then I'll briefly discuss the consideration for EBCE's rates and value proposition for next year and follow with our staff recommendation. Finally, we'll open up this virtual floor for the public comment period. A few reminders. While this meeting is virtual, it is still a public meeting, and I'll be doing my best to maintain a space to receive all of your comments. Note that during the presentation portion, all attendees will be on mute. After I provide the background and proposed policy, I'll open up the floor for comments. Please be prepared with your name, organization, and location of your home or business. We plan to provide 4 minutes for each public comment. I see that there's already been quite a few attendees, so we may need to edit that if it becomes too lengthy. Please remember that the audio and video, as well as all chats from this meeting, will be posted to our website. East Bay Community Energy is our local provider, our local power provider committed to providing Alameda County and the City of Tracy with clean electricity at low rates. EBCE reinvests earnings back into the community to create local green energy jobs, local energy programs, and clean power projects. EBCE is a community choice energy service enabled by California state law. EBCE sources electricity from cleaner energy sources, meaning we have a higher percentage of renewable energies like solar and wind. PG&E delivers the electricity, maintains the lines and meters, and handles customer billing. If there is a power outage, that concern would go to PG&E. Residents and businesses then receive cleaner energy at lower rates without having to do a thing. Here are the current product options that EBCE offers. We have Bright Choice, which is our default program and offers more renewables than PG&E. Today's rates are 1.5% less than PG&E. Brilliant 100 comes from 100% carbon-free sources at the same rate as PG&E. And Renewable 100 comes from renewable solar and wind power at about $4 per month more for the average residential customer. The power mix, the carbon-free and renewable content, is not part of today's discussion. The area that I've highlighted, the rate comparison to PG&E, this is what we refer to as the value proposition, and that's what we'll be discussing today. The rate setting protocol was approved by our board in 2018 and was revised just last year. Today we're on part 2B under the rate setting process, having already reviewed the rates and value proposition as part of our 2020 to 2021 budget proposal at the executive committee meeting, the community advisory committee meeting, and the board meetings just last month in May. Let's review a couple of definitions just so we're all using the same language. When we discuss rates, that is the amount that EBCE charges customers for electricity. Today, those rates are updated when PG&E changes their generation rates or the PCIA, the power charge and difference adjustment. The value proposition is the financial savings that customers see as an EBCE customer. We do recognize that we bring other value to our community. Here, we're just talking about that financial value. The power charge and difference adjustment, or PCIA, is this per kilowatt hour fee that PG&E assesses to customers that don't receive their energy, including EBCE customers. EBCE's generation rate, shown in this graph in green, could shrink considerably from 2020 to 2021 in order to account for an increase in this orange bar, the PCIA, while maintaining a savings to our customers compared to PG&E's generation rate, shown here in blue. The considerations for our next fiscal year. First, we have already discussed the new value proposition at several committee meetings. They were proposed at, as I said earlier, the Community Advisory Committee, Board of Directors, and Executive Committee. And I highly recommend reviewing the presentation made to the Board of Directors meeting on May 20th, which is also linked here. You can also find a video presentation of that on our website. Today, as we've said, EBCE's value proposition rests with these three products that we have already reviewed. Our Bright Choice product to date has delivered over $13.75 million in bill savings to our Bright Choice customers. That value proposition, that savings that I just highlighted, is tied to our budget, and our budget is exposed to a variety of risks. We'll walk through some of them here. We're already seeing a decrease in our load and a change in our load shape due to the COVID pandemic. A continued shelter in place or modified movement, along with the economic recession, will likely disrupt our load forecast further. EBCE's energy portfolio includes a component that is exposed to market volatility. With softer demand overall, we could benefit from better pricing. Reduced production and higher prices is another possibility, which is why we see our energy market risk listed here. In our proposed budget, we have increased the expected amount of uncollectibles from 0.5% up to 2.5% due to the economic crisis associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. While we do our very best to maintain a high participation rate in our service area, ultimately our customers have a choice in provider and we honor their decisions, so opt-outs are always a risk. And finally, regulatory risks. This is mostly about the increase in the PCIA. We've started to experience this change already and anticipate a larger increase later this year. And the recommendations from our staff. EBCE staff considered several scenarios as a means of maintaining a balanced budget while mitigating the risks I just outlined, culminating in the recommendation that we'll see in just a moment. 3 other scenarios were identified and are outlined here. The first calls for a 40% reduction of the local development budget, but maintains the current 1.5% discount. The second proposal increases the local development or programs budget and reduces the Bright Choice discount to 0.5%. The third alternative reduces the Bright Choice discount without touching the local development budget. To review, before we get to the final staff recommendation for next year, here is today's value proposition, and the savings expected for 2019 to 2020 is over $7 million in bill savings. And here's the proposal for 2020 to 2021. Staff recommends an adjustment to the value proposition, starting with a change in bright choice, where bright choice now 1% rate reduction to PG&E. Brilliant 100 is a 3% premium to PG&E's rates. Renewable 100, which remains unchanged at a penny more per kilowatt hour to PG&E's rates. This would still allow EBCE to deliver approximately $5.4 million in bill savings to our customers. So note that in the proposed budget, this reduction in bright choice savings allows us to maintain a balanced budget and continue our plans for valuable local programs. Staff identified that the cost of Brilliant 100 is considerably higher than just 1.5% more than bright choice. 3% premium actually reflects the projected procurement costs for Brilliant 100. Renewable 100 at a penny higher than PG&E, which is still more expensive than Brilliant 100, is actually priced appropriately. And I'll leave this slide up for just a moment in case anyone needs to take notes in preparation for their comments. All right, and now the public comment period. Before we move to the public comment period, a few notes. In order to make a public comment, please find the chat bubble at the bottom of your screen. Enter your name, city, and organization into the chat box. If you're calling as a resident or a business owner, please just use that as your organization. We'll call on each speaker in the order received and unmute that speaker. I will indicate to you either verbally or via chat when you have 1 minute remaining. I also recommend that you use your own timer. A reminder, this webinar, which includes the chat box, is being recorded and will be posted to our website for the next 6 months. I'm going to go to the next slide now, just in case anyone needs to sign off, and then I'll come back to these directions so that you can use them. So here are the next steps. We'll post this webinar to our website and include a summary of all the public comments and questions in our staff report, which will be presented at the June 17th Board of Directors meeting. If you'd prefer to make a written comment, please email publiccomment@ebce.org. All comments are due by Sunday, June 7th at 11 p.m. Now I'll return back to the how-to slide for those that would like to provide verbal comments today. All right, so far I have received 1 comment, 1 request, 2 requests. Okay, I'm going to start with Aleta Dupree. Aleta, you are unmuted. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, committee members. Aleta Dupree, for the record, she, her. This is important to me as I do spend a substantial amount of time in Oakland, and I'm hoping that the place I stay is part of EBCE. Regardless, I see this work of public power as essential to the future of our community. I do support the idea of a value proposition of which the economy class of service must always be less than PG&E, because there will always be a subset of people who will basically say, why should I pay more when I can get the same thing for less somewhere else? That being said, EBCE is doing more. And I think that rate making has to have a global perspective. I feel that local development is essential because as we can develop more infrastructure, whether it be production or storage or for use, such as heating, vehicle charging, kitchens, transportation, etc. I think that investment has to be preserved. So I could live with a small reduction in the discount of the economy class of service, as long as we always make sure it is less than PG&E. Certainly, I can live with raising the price of the Brilliant 100. I mean, I don't want us to lose money on any of our rate classes, because the more you consume, the more you lose, and that's not going to help in the long run. And I support keeping the price point of the renewable 100 the same, because I hope that as people crunch the numbers, that they can rise just a little bit with the 1 cent per kilowatt hour premium, in that money will be invested in our community because we'll be procuring more locally produced renewables and reduce the amount of system power that we buy. This concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Great, thank you for your comments. It will be included in our report to the board. Next, I have Barbara Stubbins from Berkeley representing LCEA.
So Barbara Stubbins, I'm really here today participating in this particular webinar as an individual, and I won't take a lot of time because I assume that LCEA will be submitting written comments. But I just want to have a few comments around the presentation, which I really appreciate because it's very clear and concise. The audio was breaking up for me. It doesn't usually where I am on Zoom, so I'm not sure if that's on your end or my end. I think without seeing the budget, the proposed budget numbers, it's going to be difficult for people to make a really informed comments, and I realize the budget is linked there, so I'm encouraging you maybe to encourage people to go through the slideshow that is linked for the 2021 budget. The other thing that I would point out is that there are really important variables and proportional items that are hard to understand, like the fact that reducing the discount, or in other words, increasing the Bright Choice rate by 0.5%, will make about $1 difference per year to the average customer's bill. Whereas it makes millions of dollars difference to EBCE in what they are able to collect in revenue. So unless people understand that, it's easy to say, well, we don't increase our rates, because of course there are a lot of suffering people out there. But it would be good for people to understand really the difference in proportion for them and for the agency. And the other one is the local development business plan. When you talk about reducing the budget by 2.7 million, that basically would wipe out all the other programs in the local development business plan except the electric vehicle charging program. So that would really wipe out anything that might help with local energy resilience, for instance, supplying solar and battery for people who are affected by the power shutoffs, and especially programs that address more issues of equity. So I'll leave my comments there for today. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Barbara. That will also be included in our board report. I have one more request from Igor. Igor, you are unmuted. Please introduce yourself. I see that you are from Berkeley. Igor, you are unmuted right now and you may provide your comment. Oh, it looks like Igor is having some issues, some connectivity issues. So while we wait for him, let me see if there's anyone else that has requested. Okay, those are all the requests I have today. I will remain on the line for Igor to try again over the telephone. If anyone else has any, would like to make a comment, please enter your information into the group chat. Otherwise, this meeting is complete. I muted myself there. Igor, are you on the line right now? I see your name. Okay, I can wait another moment for Igor to provide comments. And Igor, if you can hear me, I will actually put this into chat that you can also, oh, you're trying again. Okay, so Igor's trying again by phone, everyone. I'm going to hold on here.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Ah,
This is
wonderful.
Igor. Great.
Yes, thank you so much for your patience. Not sure what's going on, but I'm Igor Treadeth from Berkeley, California. My comments are being made today in an individual capacity, not on behalf of any organization. I want to thank you, first of all, for the clear and detailed presentation. I would like to lodge a number of questions for the record and look forward to responses down the road. My first question is why there's a proposal to invest 70% of the local development business plan budget into a program that will primarily or only benefit those able to purchase electric vehicles. I myself live in a multifamily building right now. I've been working to get state and local law changed to improve the cost sharing so that at some point I might be able to procure an electric vehicle, but right now, something like this, I could not benefit from, neither could almost 20,000 residents of Berkeley that similarly live in older housing stock with multifamily housing. I wanted to ask what % of that EV program will target fleet vehicles, municipal and public buses, or light and heavy duty trucks? Proposing to eliminate 2.7 million from the budget to mitigate risk would also largely wipe out any programs other than the EV one. Would that mark the end of the local development business plan? And have consideration been given to the estimated $73 million in reserves, using some of those to help mitigate risk or make up for budget shortfalls? I also wanted to ask why the rate for Brilliant 100 is increasing by such a large amount while Renewable 100 is not increasing at all. How are the rates for each individual product set? And what is the average cost for each type of energy, renewable, carbon-free, and fossil fuel products? What are the alternative ways that are being considered to offset budget shortfalls, such as using reserves or a freeze on salary increases or hiring at this time? And finally, since the huge decrease in revenues is attributed to the increase in the PCIA and that fee is expected to continue to be high, what could the CCAs, including EBCE, do to fight to change how the PCIA is figured or eliminated? That concludes my questions, and I look forward to hearing responses down the road. Thanks again.
Great, thank you very much for your comments and questions. Again, that will be that comment will be included in our board report, including your questions. I do encourage everyone, Barbara Stubbins had mentioned looking at the, referencing the presentation to the board last month. I do encourage everyone to go to the public meetings section of our website. You can listen to the, watch the video from the most recent board meeting where there is quite an in-depth conversation about our about the proposed budget. All right, and with that, if there are no more public comments, I will close the meeting, and I do appreciate everyone's listening and participation, and thank you. Have a fantastic day.